the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bond and AJ Applegarth.
Touchdown! All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Mr. AJ Applegarth. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Another Thursday, another Thursday night football. Although this one is pretty active so far, so pretty nice to see.
Speaking of active, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are both active.
Yep.
Although you would only think one is, because it's not going so hot for Cooper Kupp. The last I looked, he didn't have much, but I have not looked at the box score in the last few minutes. But 315. And he got the touchdown. Well, there we go. So never mind.
Yes.
Yeah, early on, man, it was all Puka Nacua. It was like,
I
thought he was going to be limited.
Not so much.
That. Kyron Williams having himself a day, so I'm liking that. I got him on a couple of squads, so yeah, looking pretty good. Just need to get Justin Jefferson in the end zone, and I think I'm pretty set with this game. So
nice.
All right, man. So Albert, always first one here. Love it. What's going on, man?
What's up, buddy?
So yeah, of course, we got a great show for you today, going through those start-sit scenarios with a little bit of rankings preview there, going over our insights and observations from the season and last week. While you're here, of course, jump in and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave those comments, where your 5-star reviews, wherever you listen, watch, whatever it is. We love hearing from you. And of course, our memberships are still active over on Fantasy Six Pack. You can still jump in. You know, the season's not over. We're still not even halfway. So no time to wait. Jump in, become an all access member. You're going to get access to our award-winning rankings, our Discord, where you get to ask us all your personal league questions. We've got all the DFS stuff from Dave Eddy, from Chris Robin, Keith Fleming. We've got the betting content from all the parlay fantasy guys, and those dudes are crushing it. Basically that they will make up for the cost of membership within like 2 weeks. So you're good to go. All right, without further ado, we're going to be bringing in a guest, Dr. Kevin Murray, creator of the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast, one that I was thankful to be a part of just a couple weeks ago. Also a staff over at Football Guys. What is going on tonight, Kevin?
Hey, man, I'm excited to be here. You know, I love what you guys are doing over there. So it's just awesome to be here. Fun Thursday night. You know, it's not a typical Thursday night football game. So
we got
excitement there. You got actual players.
Marisol just and that sucks because Hokie just went down, looked pretty bad. He got rolled up on in the back. Not great. So hopefully that does not crush their protection for Darnold, who's been pretty good, and Aaron Jones has been pretty good so far too. But yeah. So all right, before we jump into our start sit stuff, last week we touched out some of the trades that went down, Amari Cooper and company. We had another one go down this week. Not a super surprise that the Kansas City Chiefs went out and got a receiver after they lost another one, right, to injury. Juju went down with the hamstring. He's probably not done for the season, but he's going to be out. And they're desperate over there. So,
yeah,
DeAndre Hopkins is on his way over there. Kevin, what's your thoughts on Hopkins? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I wish it was 5 years ago, right? I mean, Hopkins, he's an old man at this point. It looks good on paper when you first see it. They need it, so it could give, it might, give Kelsey a little bump, right? Get another receiver out there that might take some target, give him a little bit more of an open field. It could, open things up for some deep shots to Worthy. Mahomes is just not playing great. I don't know if this is the answer. I mean, they're such a solid football team. I mean, it's weird to call him kind of a game manager, but he's getting it done by getting it done in more of a conservative way. So I don't necessarily expect it to be just a massive change to their offense, but they needed somebody. They got somebody. Hopefully he's not too old. Hopefully he's not too banged up. Hopefully he can contribute.
Yeah, AJ, I'll give my quick thoughts here in a minute, but we want to get yours first.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Kevin's saying here. I mean, this would have been something that would have moved the needle, 4 or 5 years ago when Nuke was still Nuke. Now he's kind of blown up Nuke. So it's not. I mean, it's good for Kansas City that they're finally getting somebody else in on this team, but it's like just an embarrassment of riches almost because of the name value that they've brought in for receivers this year, but they're all hurt. So it's just
Right.
Nothing's really sticking. And as Kevin alluded to, Mahomes hasn't been very Mahomes-like. Kelsey hasn't really been very Kelsey-like. So this team's still undefeated. I don't really get it some of these days, but it is what it is, and they're gonna just keep moving around and keep winning games. It looks like so. It doesn't really matter who puts on a uniform for them at this point. So yeah, I'm
with you, guy. It doesn't really move the needle for me. I know you guys have already said that, so I'll just say it again. But in reality, like, no thanks. It's just a body, in my opinion, just somebody for Mahomes to sort of dump the ball off to. Again, you're right on, Kevin. He hasn't been playing well. We've been talking about it for weeks on here. Twitter's been blowing up on it. I mean, I kind of laughed and I was shocked that he didn't actually do it. But Corey Piper filled in for the drop list article this week, and he's like, how mad do you think everybody would get if I put Pat Mahomes on there? And I'm like, I kind of laughed and I threw him like a gif of like the Simpsons, like pitchforks, and everything. And he laughed back, and I thought he was going to do it. I wasn't going to stop him at all. Not even close was I going to stop him. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
Look, if it weren't Patrick Mahomes on the back of the jersey, he wouldn't be rostered in like half of the leagues. Like Kirk Cousins is not rostered in half the leagues right now. It's about the same. Let's be real, it's about the same. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we just had a question in Discord. Hey, should I go out and trade for Hopkins? And I was like, well, maybe. You'd have to let me know a little bit more. And so he comes out and says, okay, so I've got Mike Evans out this week. He has Terry McLaurin and I forget another solid receiver. And I'm like, that's all you have? He's like, well, nobody else worth noting. No. Mooney was one of the other guys that he didn't mention, but I forget who his actual like third good receiver was.
Oh, T. Higgins, right.
And so I was like, yeah, I mean, you're not going to replace Mike Evans, but just stick with Mooney. He's fine. Like, he's serviceable in a pinch. Don't go overpaying for Hopkins. Right now, that excitement, that like unknown, it's Patrick Mahomes. This feels like all the times that like every time there was a receiver available, it was like, oh, he's going to sign with Aaron Rodgers. Do we care? Like a tight end was signed with the Packers. We'd all be like, hey, Packers tight end, this is going to be the guy. No, stop it. Like, this isn't going to work anymore. So, he's a wide receiver 4, probably max. He'll have some spike weeks. He'll score. But that's about it, in my opinion. So, I got one more thing that I want to bring up here. And
I got your banner ready.
Yeah. So I threw something on Twitter. I did not realize it was going to blow up quite like it did. So I woke up Wednesday morning, and I wake up kind of early. I wake up with the kids, getting ready for school. So I'm up early. But, this is 7:30 in the morning. I check my waiver run. The few leagues that I still have that do the 3 a.m. waiver run. Half of my league is already thrown in like the first come, first serve free agency pickups. And I'm like, this dude's waking up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning doing these first come, first serve free agent pickups. Like, I can't get nobody. Why are we still doing 3 a.m. waiver wire pickups? Like, come on, we're better than this, people. Like, move over to sleeper and just be done with this.
The thrill of the hunt.
That is true. I mean, I think that it's funny that leagues that aren't at that 3 a.m. like just how smooth and easy it is. Like everybody's up, like you're ready. It's a funny scenario for sure. I don't know how it got that way, but here we are.
Yeah, I think I only have maybe 2 leagues left that still do well. 2 on Wednesday. Then I have a random league that does waivers on Thursdays. That just throws me off completely because it's like, all right, I'm done. I lost out on everybody, and it's like, wait, I could still go and try to get someone else the next day in this league, but bigger rosters in there anyways. But yeah, this is I still have it in my league. One of my leagues is my personal league that I've run forever, and every year I tell myself just put it out there, put it out to see if people want to change it. I never do. I always forget, and it's just like, well, here's where we are. But there's other people that just wake up. They love doing it, and I mean, I'll randomly do it if I wake up in the middle of the night, some Tuesday nights or early Wednesday mornings. I'm like, maybe I should see if anything's out there, or if anybody's left, and I don't have to have burned a waiver claim on, and we go for it. So
I don't know what you guys are talking about. There was a time in my life where I was staying up till 3 a.m. and waiting for those first claims.
Look,
also true.
I'm with you, Mike. Like, look, there were plenty of times where it was like, I got another hour. I can do this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm past that, way past that. Look, I know the answer is fab every day of the week until Sunday morning, and then you allow first come, first serve just for those last minute pickups. Not all of my leagues are allowing that. We got to get off this 3 a.m. nonsense. ESPN or somebody, one of these big sites has to be like, we're done. It's noon, done. Like, everybody's awake. I mean, honestly, West Coast people have it made on that. All they got to do is stay up till midnight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, come on.
That's so funny. I never when you keep saying 3 a.m., I'm like, I think it's earlier, but I'm a West Coast guy, so it's midnight.
Midnight for you.
But it kind of like there's kind of a delay in like when it actually drops. Yeah. But yeah, it is definitely easier for us out here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me why that happens. I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired of waking up. Yeah, and again, I'm up early. I'm tired of waking up and seeing all the guys that absolutely should have never been, used a waiver claim on, pass through like they should, and then they all get snatched up before me. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got to wake up earlier." Like, no, that is not the answer. That is not the answer. I'm not waking up earlier. It's not that important. But we just need to level the playing field. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, why not just level the playing field? That's what Fab is for, right? Why not do Fab and just do Fab every day? AJ, we got rid of Fab every day in the crab cake because somebody was like, well, you got to do first come, first serve after Fab. Fab every day sucks. And I'm like,
I
why? Like,
shockingly must have missed that conversation.
It just randomly happened during the draft, and then I guess Scott just changed the rules on us. Didn't tell anybody. After the first week, waivers ran, and I was like, oh, everybody's available. I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so we have a random start sit question here. Let's get to that, and then we'll jump into the ones that Mike had prepared. Jose here asking Brian Robinson or Tank Bigsby. This was going to depend a lot on if ETN is healthy.
He did fully practice today. I saw.
Yeah, I expect him to play. But, I mean, Bigsby has been good. I think if ETN plays, I'm leaning Brian Robinson, even though it is a tough Bears defense. Anybody else differ?
I'm leaning Robinson. Yeah, regardless. I think he's just shown he can handle the workload, when healthy. And he's been good. Washington, even with Mariota, still put up 40 points last week. So their offense is humming, and he's a big reason with that, along with Daniels and his success. But I think they may lean a little bit more on the run this week. So I'm going Robinson.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
All right. So,
You want to do one more extra credit one?
sure. Why not?
James got Dobbins or Brian Thomas Jr. at the flex, full point PPR.
Sorry, I was reading something else.
BTJ is hard to not play. He's been so good. But
Dobbins getting the rock as many times as he is. I'm going Dobbins. I like Brian Thomas Jr., but it's definitely Dobbins.
Yeah.
I lean Thomas. I think that man, he's been hot lately. I think he's definitely poised for a big week. But yeah, if you're going to go volume, if you want to be safe, Dobbins probably going to get that volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that volume didn't do much against the Cardinals last week.
No,
not.
All right. Well, we'll move on then to our start sit portion. All right. And Joe, you get to start us off with our QBs. You want to start Aaron Rodgers versus the Patriots or Anthony Richardson against the Texans? Fun.
Neither one.
You know what? These are decisions that people are going through.
Yes.
So, fun fact. I finally cut Anthony Richardson. I'm all in on Dowdle. I'm it. I'm done. I'm done with him. I need a roster spots. I'm out. He's been garbage. Like, again, another guy. Like, if it wasn't Anthony Richardson on the jersey, if the hype and the upside wasn't there with Richardson, he's cut. He's not rostered in, 15% of leagues? There's no way. That all said, I'm still going with Anthony Richardson. Rodgers is meh. No thanks. Not getting it done. Richardson, at least you've got the rushing floor to fall back on a little bit, but it's neither one of these guys is ranked very high for me this week. So I hope you can find something else anywhere, honestly.
I think with Richardson, first game back last week, he was terrible. He's been terrible most of the season. Obviously not throwing a lot, not a lot of volume in the passing game. He ran the ball like 14 times last week. Could he get in there for a touchdown? I think he's probably safer than Rodgers because if the Jets play well, they're gonna run that. They're gonna run the ball. I think Hall and even Braylon Allen might get some action this weekend. So I'd probably lean Richardson and cross my fingers.
Yeah, I'm gonna clean sweep it here with Richardson. He's been almost unstartable, but yeah, Rodgers is right there too. And I just think that matchup wise, I like the ability for New York to really get the ground game going. And Rodgers is just not. He's not the same Rodgers. Again, it's like Hopkins. Talked to me 5 years ago when he was good. He's brought the band back together literally with everybody that he wanted there, and he still sucks. So it doesn't matter.
All right. So we'll move on to our second one then. And Kevin,
so
you can take this
funny. Jamie put something. I'm guessing this is Dynasty, but still, this is just how far it has fallen. Someone just offered me Richardson for Penix, so I couldn't pass that up. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But you think about it. How much would you have had to pay for Richardson before the season started?
Oh, yeah.
He was going like top 5, top 6. That's insane. Just how
the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
I would probably take, get Richardson, and as soon as he has a few weeks in a row where he's putting up some points, flip him for something else because that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Jump ship. All right. Kevin, you get our second QBs here, and you get to decide between Brock Purdy versus the Cowboys or Baker Mayfield versus the Falcons. Fight.
That's brutal, right? You got two quarterbacks that have both lost a ton of weapons. I'd be looking at the stream. I'd be looking to stream a quarterback. I'd much rather have Jameis Winston, starting over those two guys. But Purdy, he had a terrible week last week, but he scored a couple of touchdowns running the ball, right? He's scrappy. I think that Purdy, I'd probably lean Purdy because Mayfield, obviously they're running the ball really well. They got a few backs doing the job there. So I'd expect, I expect the Atlanta Tampa matchup to both be just, a lot of run game in those matchups. So if I was forced to take somebody, I'd lean Purdy and hopefully he just does something, on the ground or rushes one in. But definitely looking at the waiver wire and see who's out there. If it's Winston, if it's Drake May, if it's Geno Smith, if it's Bo Nix, I'm taking all those guys probably.
AJ?
Yeah. I mean, I actually have this conundrum, almost. I actually dropped Purdy last week in that league. Never mind. But this was the two that I was looking at back and forth, and I kept telling myself and saying it on this show, Baker's got to be startable. He's keeps putting up points. Purdy kept being disappointing. But in this one, I think I'm leaning him over Baker because his weapons, while still hurt, are slightly better. That last matchup in Tampa Atlanta, that was a ridiculous game with both quarterbacks in that game. All the players, everybody was just putting up crazy fantasy points, and you just don't have that for Tampa right now. I think this is going to be a heavy run game for them. It's going to have to be, really, because you're looking at Sterling Shepard and Trey Palmer and McMillan. Cade Otton had a really nice game last week, so I'll look for him to kind of continue to be a safety net for Baker. But those other guys are just way too up in the air to really be trusted right now. And Dallas just plain sucks. So as much as I enjoy that, I'm gonna hope for Purdy to have a good game.
Finish it off, Joe.
Yeah, clean sweep. It's Purdy for me. Look, there's even a possibility now that Debo's going to be healthy. But look, we've seen Purdy do it without those guys before. That offense just hums no matter what it seems like. It's just strange. Jawan Jennings is probably going to be back this week too, so him and Purdy seem to have a thing. Still got Mason. We're still a little unsure about Kittle, but sounds like he's going to play. So I think Purdy's fine. Baker's in trouble. Like, he's also not going to have Bucky Irving. That offense is going to be in bad shape this week. I don't, unless somebody's got to really surprise in order for me to trust Baker Mayfield without Mike Evans and Godwin. And I'm not sure they have the personnel to do it. So if any team is out there looking for Cooper Kupp, dude, Tampa, pick up the phone, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, now the fun begins, AJ. The running back section. You get to start two, sit one. You got Javonte Williams versus the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard versus the Broncos, or DeAndre Swift versus the Commanders. Fight. I said fight, don't think.
I know. Chuba's been good, but I think Denver's defense is legit and is tough to run on. If I remember correctly, I thought I heard that Bryce Young was going to be back under center this week. So
correct.
I don't know if that helps Hubbard or hurts them even further. Javonte's coming off an awesome game, and he's playing Carolina, who sucks. And, they are even more sucky than Dallas. So, yeah, I'm definitely starting Williams, and I'll go with Swift.
That's a fun word.
Sucky, yeah. Succubus.
All right,
hop on, because you're
reminds me of Elf. It's very sucky.
Yeah.
Yes. Please get
who
that.
You sitting, Joe?
What?
I said, who you sitting?
Ah, man. I don't want to answer this one. It's Hubbard. With Bryce Young under center, I'm out. I'm out on anything Panthers right now. Look, maybe he surprises us, and he can start moving this ball. But look, Javonte Williams is starting to. He's looking pretty good. He's had 2 really good weeks out of the last 3. Looking like he's taken a lion's share of that backfield, and doing pretty well with it. I talked about that in my usage article this past week. And Swift, ever since they decided to kind of announce, hey, we're going to give Roschon the ball a little bit more, Swift's like, oh, the hell you are. And he's taken over, man. And the whole Bears offense, ever since they did that, has really picked things up. Maybe it was just like Swift was like, O-line, y'all mofos better start blocking for me and Caleb. We need to get this ship rolling. Like, whatever happened, it's working. And so, yeah, it's an easy sit, though, for Hubbard. Like, just get out while you can.
Yeah. And they're coming off a bye, too, Chicago. So they'll be well-rested and ready to go.
Yeah, against the Commanders. And the run defense for the Commanders isn't terrible. It's still not great.
Yeah, I mean, Swift has been on fire in like 3 top 6 performances, I think, in the last, his last 3 games. So if you have to choose one to get out, I'd take Hubbard out. If I had to, if you were forced to choose one of them, it's hard. I mean, Swift, Javonte's got a beautiful matchup with Carolina, so that's the tougher one. If you have to choose just one of those 2, but I'd probably lean Swift just because he's been rolling.
Yep, me too.
All right. It gets more fun as we go along, so just wait. Kevin, you get Rico Dowdle versus the Niners, Rachaad White versus the Falcons, or Alexander Mattison versus the Chiefs?
Choose one.
Choose one? 2, sit 1.
Sit 1.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna choose Alexander Mattison first. I think he had 20 plus carries last week. I think I'll keep Mattison in the mix. Then I gotta choose White or Dowdle. If Bucky Irving's out, I'll lean White, and I think that's where it's looking. So I'll go with White and Mattison as my 2.
AJ?
Yeah, I mean, Zamir White has been a ghost so far this season. I know he missed a couple of games, but even before that, when he was getting the majority of the carries, he did nothing with them. I mean, he didn't even top 50 yards. He still has yet to find the end zone. Mattison has been so much better for them. Now, I hate the matchup in KC.
Oh, yeah.
Or against KC, but
that's the number one. That's the number one rushing defense for fantasy points allowed.
So that's tough, but Dowdle sucks. He's been
I think we have
okay, consistent. What's that?
I think we have a new hashtag. We've got Suck It Keith for the Giants, and we've got Dallas Sucky.
Well, yeah, everything Dallas.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, I'm a Commanders fan. He's an Eagles fan, so we're right on par here.
Yep.
So, sure. I mean, I do think Dowdle's been consistent with getting the ball in his hands, getting the touches. So it's just a matter of him being able to do something with it, and I think he can against San Fran. They're, like I said, they're middle of the pack.
He's been consistent at sucking too.
Yeah, I mean, he has. It really, these last few games is where he's kind of been a little better at not sucking as consistently. So I will lean him. I'll lean Mattison. White, yeah, I'm gonna sit White. He's getting touches, but without Irving, they still have Sean Tucker too. So he might sneak back in and have a decent game and steal some playing time from White. So I'm gonna go Dowdle and Mattison.
What you got, Joe?
Mattison, obviously number 1 here. White's my number 2, only because Bucky Irving's out. The last time we saw Rico Dowdle, they were getting smashed. Dallas got smashed by Detroit, and for some reason they decided that Zeke Elliott was like their answer in coming back in that game, which makes absolutely no sense. I want to say the Dallas Cowboys are going to figure out that that's not working, but I don't think the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff, along with Jerry Jones, knows what they're doing anymore. So I'm not trusting it. So it's Mattison and White for me. But secretly, maybe throw some Sean Tucker in there, like AJ was talking about. I think that's kind of the sneaky play.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have some questions. It looks like I missed a couple of these. Sorry about that. Mike, if you find one, throw it up on the board. I know we've had a lot of conversation here. Jordan Love. So Dion here. Sunday morning Dion. There we go. Recognize this name. Jordan Love versus Jacksonville or CJ Stroud versus Indianapolis. Pretty easy one for me. It's Jordan Love.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud hasn't looked all that great this year. He's still doing okay. But I mean, Love gets Jacksonville. They are a funnel. They have a funnel pass defense. So just Jordan Love and anything Green Bay this week. Like, do it. Albert's got one. Mason or Hunt, half PPR. This is shockingly closer than I ever thought it would be. Filling in Mason, only because I think without any good receivers, they're going to have to run this ball a ton, right? Anybody think Hunt here?
It's a fun story, but yeah, I think that they really have to go Mason heavy this week. So I lean that direction too.
I would lean that way as well. I will say Mason was practicing limited today because of the shoulder issue. So keep an eye on that. That might make the decision for you, but I think he's got the better upside for this week if he plays.
Yeah.
And then the last question is Chad just wants to know, can he choose 0 of these guys?
I think that was one. I think that was this question here. Rico, White, Mattison.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. So some of these are ugly, Mike, man.
It's rough out in those streets.
I get it. I get it, man. But
just wait till Bymageddon happens.
Was that week 9?
You guys see that Jefferson catch, that bobble?
I'm looking at it now. Ooh.
I just did.
Ooh.
Pretty sweet.
Right off the shoulder.
Sweet. Yeah.
Very Tyree-esque, except a little lower.
All right. Joe, you get our first wide receiver question here. Same thing. Start 2, sit 1. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Dolphins. Tank Dell versus the Colts. Or Amari Cooper versus the Seahawks. Fight.
Ooh.
I told you, it's rough.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to find this catch by I was trying to rewind my feed here. So I wasn't ready for this. So it's Tank Dell. Tank Dell's 1.
Even after that disappointing game last week.
I know. I mean, I don't blame that on him. CJ Stroud threw for 86 yards. I mean, yeah.
Wait, is he playing for Dallas? No.
I reluctantly go back to Marvin Harrison. I don't like it though. But like the matchups there, Miami is actually really good against the pass. So
that's a skewed statistic though, because they don't need to pass against the Dolphins when the Dolphins can't score more than 10 points.
True. And this week might be different.
Yep, Tua's practicing.
Yeah. Still just, like I said, I reluctantly go Harrison on this one. And Dell. It's definitely Dell. I'll go Harrison though if it's my second one.
All right, Sid Cooper. AJ.
I think I'm sitting Harrison and going with the other two. Cooper fell into that touchdown last week in Buffalo. I think after another week of practice, he'll get a little more familiar. That game is like destroying me in every league. I feel like I have Buffalo versus Seattle players, going back and forth, including the defenses, which hasn't been a fun choice. But yeah, I think Cooper overall, his upside is going to be better. Harrison is just not. He just hasn't shown it yet, and I don't think this is the week that he's going to. Miami's only given up double-digit, receptions to opposing receiving cores twice this year. So, only 2 touchdowns to opposing receivers. They're just good. They're good against this group. So I don't trust them this week.
The thing about Amari Cooper, and sorry, Kevin, I know you got to give your answer. Think about Amari Cooper, right? And I know it was the first week. He was only on the field for 19 snaps. We love the usage when he was on the field. 12 routes run, 5 targets, and obviously that touchdown.
Yeah.
I got to see him on the field more. I got to see him get more integrated in this offense before I can trust it. If he doesn't get that touchdown, what are we talking about? This isn't even a question if he doesn't get that touchdown last week.
Yeah, but we've seen Harrison on the field getting the snaps, getting the targets.
I get it.
And he's been Dallas sucky. So I hate it.
In Harrison's defense, he is cooking cornerbacks that double moves, but the O-line is not giving Kyler Murray enough time to see that.
Yeah. Kyler can't see downfield.
Yeah.
Kyler can't see over.
Not necessarily just the O-line. He's just short.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't see over the line. Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. No, but I think we need a tiebreaker after this one because I'm going to take the other scenario that we haven't taken. So I'm going to go actually Harrison and Cooper. Cooper, yeah, not a lot of snaps last week. I'm just hopeful that he's going to get a little more action this week. He was productive out there. He's got the best quarterback in this group. I'm going to lean Cooper in this one. It might be wet Sunday. I got the Seattle forecast here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be. It's my daughter's birthday on Sunday, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be wet that day. But I'll go with Cooper, and then I'll take Harrison. In my mind, I see Tua coming back. I see a kind of a back and forth game, right? Where Harrison, he's due for a big week. He's definitely got a kind of a roller coaster season so far. It's been down. I think he might have a bigger game coming up, and I think they might have to compete with Tua and Tyreek. Hopefully, that's what I'm envisioning.
Yeah.
And then Tank. I mean, he goes what 0 last week. He's had how many good weeks this year? Like 1 maybe. I need more out of Tank Dell. Rumors are that he's not looking good out there from a health perspective. I'm just not convinced on Tank at this point, even without Nico in the lineup. I'm gonna stay away from Tank. I'll go Cooper, Harrison.
All right.
That's what I love about making these questions, the diverse answers.
This was actually a fun one, Mike.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
We all had different picks. That's the first time possibly all year that I think.
Probably.
That's why I said we need a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Mike.
I guess Sunday's the tiebreaker.
Mike, you're the tiebreaker. What do you got?
I mean, I agree with Amari Cooper as a start. He's got the better quarterback. It's another week of practice. He's going to get more snaps. And I'm a Marvin Harrison believer. I have to believe that him and Kyler Murray are going to get this going, especially if Tua comes back. They're going to score, and they're going to need to score for the Cardinals. Tank Dell, man, he broke his ankle last year. I mean, Tony Pollard took 2 years to come back from that fully healthy. Maybe that's what Tank Dell is going through this year. So I'm going to go Harrison and Cooper.
We'll see you on Sunday, I guess, huh?
Just sucking up to the guest. I see how it is.
I see. All right, on to the next one here. Maybe we got another diverse answer. Kevin, you get Romeo Doubs versus the Jaguars. Keenan Allen versus the Commanders, and Courtland Sutton versus the Panthers. Start 2, sit 1, fight.
Let's go Doubs. I mean, I think Green Bay's offense is going to be cooking this weekend against Jacksonville. That's an easy one. Sutton put up a goose egg last week. I like the momentum that Chicago has coming off a bye. Let's go. Caleb Williams. We'll go with Keenan Allen, and we'll go with Doubs. So Doubs, Allen. Those are my picks.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I told you earlier, anything Green Bay in the passing game, I'm starting it this week. Like, figuring out a way to get them in. Like, I mean, I'd have to have some stud, like, to be able to play in like a flex to not start Doubs. Sutton, as much as I like him as a player, passing game's not working. The only reason why Bo Nix is even a thought in fantasy is because of his rushing right now. But it's just not happening. I don't think he puts up a goose egg, but it's just no thanks. Keenan Allen going against that Washington secondary. They've allowed a boatload of wide receiver ones this year, like the wide receiver one. Actually, I don't think that is Keenan Allen, but he's going to have a very nice day. I mean, come on, we saw like Rachaad Bateman just toast him. I was at that game going like, guys, it's Rachaad Bateman. Stop him, please. Anything. Come on. It was not good. So it's definitely Allen and Doubs for me.
Finish it off, AJ.
Yeah, clean sweep in that one. Same deal. I love Sutton, but I just don't see it happening.
All right. So, AJ, you going to start us off with the last wide receiver question then? You got Brian Thomas Jr. versus the Packers on the other side. You got Terry McLaurin versus the Bears. And Davante Adams versus the Patriots. Start 2, sit 1.
Oof. I'm sitting Davante. Mostly just because, like I said, Rodgers hasn't been himself. I feel like they need to continue to work on their chemistry they used to have. But this could be, again, a heavy run game for the Jets. Thomas has been cooking all season, like we were talking about. He's just really coming on. So I love him and his upside. I'm playing him, everywhere I can, where I have him. And McLaurin and Daniels had really good chemistry going. So that one's kind of interesting with Mariota if he ends up starting. I believe Daniels was questionable last I looked, so hopefully he can play and we can get this, former number 1, number 2 pick, matchup that everybody was drooling over, on draft night. So I'm still going to go McLaurin. He's just been too good, consistent wise.
So you're starting McLaurin and who else?
I'm sitting Davante, starting BTJ and McLaurin.
All right. Kevin, what you got?
Yeah, Thomas, definitely start him. It's tricky with McLaurin and Davante if Daniels isn't playing. McLaurin's kind of earned that start, from a fantasy perspective. He's been playing well. So I would lean McLaurin, even if Daniels is not playing. But I would not be surprised at all if Rodgers hyper targets Adams, in the second game, and he actually has a decent game. So yeah. I'm totally on the fence. If Daniels is out between McLaurin and Adams, it kind of depends on like who am I facing in the fantasy league, and where am I at in the standings? Do I need to? Yeah. I think Davante is higher upside if Daniels is out. So if I need to, go big or go home, I actually go Adams in hope for a big game. If I'm playing conservatively, I'm just going McLaurin.
Joe, You going big or you going home?
Yeah, so Thomas is the consensus one. For me, it's Adams. I'm not expecting Daniels to start. If Daniels does start, it is McLaurin. If Daniels does not start, I go Adams. I know McLaurin had a good game against against Carolina with Mariota. that's probably not going to happen as easily against the Bears defense here. Adam gets New England, who they're very middle of the pack. They can definitely be passed on. And it was weird. Like he saw, Adam saw a bunch of targets in the first half and then really wasn't targeted in the second half. I'm not really sure what happened there. I think they get that rolling. I mean, they still he was on the field for every snap. Like we were worried about Cooper and like his playing time. Adam, they just were like, no, Adams, you're good, go. Like,
yeah.
So yeah. I'm good there. Like I'm totally fine with using him. So for me, it is Thomas and Adams.
All right. We'll move on then to our tight ends. And Joe, you get to start this one off. You got Dalton Kincaid versus the Seahawks or Cade Otton versus the Falcons. Have fun.
I really don't like the tight end position this year.
Smile.
No. Cade Otton, because who else is Baker Mayfield going to throw to? That's all I got.
I would concur. Just that's what it is.
I mean, the tight end position sucks this year, man. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Unless you got Bowers in a PPR league, like a full PPR league, you're not happy.
Yes.
How about those Kittle owners? Come on.
I get it. Yeah. He's been
good. I've got him in one spot. That's been pretty good.
All right. I'll make it a little tougher for you. I'll make it a little tougher for you. You got Mark Andrews as a third option.
Why is that tougher?
Because it's just a testament to how bad the tight ends are this year.
That's not a good example. Otton. I mean, he's only got in Tampa for the most part. Like someone's gonna throw the ball to they're gonna throw the ball to somebody. It's gonna be Otton.
I would think so. Yeah.
Watch it be Rachaad White again.
No.
Don't do that.
Who are the Ravens facing? That actually might be tough.
Cleveland.
Yeah, they got the Browns. Jameis Winston and the Browns.
I'm going Otton.
All right.
So
you guys are party poopers.
All right. I know we got one more question in here, but let's do our flex, and then we'll move on.
All right. AJ, you get to end it off with the flex, and Joe kind of foreshadowed what I think he's going to pick. But you got Zach Moss versus the Eagles, or Dontavian Wicks versus the Jaguars.
Eagles D has picked it up past couple of weeks. Granted, they're crappier teams, so I get that. But I'm going Wicks on this one. I just think Green Bay offense needs to be had, and I think Eagles D will step up again.
Burn the slide,
and I think they're gonna, Joe Burrow is gonna have to beat them, and he very easily probably can. But the secondary has been interesting. Lots of young talent.
I guess we're just starting every Packers receiver. Can you throw Christian Watson in there too?
No, he sucks.
He's sucky.
Exactly.
All right, Kevin, who you want?
Yeah,
I gotta find the sound drop for that.
I'm gonna take Wicks. Currently it's Chase Brown season right there, so I'm not interested in Moss at all. Somebody from Green Bay, whether it's Doubs or Reed or Wicks or Watson, I guess, but someone's going to do well. Probably two of those receivers are going to probably have great days. So I would roll the dice with Wicks.
And Chase Brown could also get laid out by his brother Sidney Brown if Sidney can see the field. Go. So,
Joe,
that'll be fun.
Wicks is the upside play, like the ceiling play. Moss is the safe play. That's the only way I look at this one. I most likely would throw Wicks in my lineup if I had to choose between these two. My rankings say Moss, only because my rankings are sometimes a little more on the conservative side.
They favor running backs. usually.
Well, a little bit, especially when you get to this range, because you can kind of count on the volume. I mean, look at the same time, like when you look at the receiving core for Green Bay, Wicks was only on the field for 24 snaps last game.
Yeah.
I mean, so like that worries me, with Wicks. Like he's not in 2 wide receiver packages. He's hardly in 3 wide receiver packages. So you rely on him catching a couple of deep balls, a touchdown. Moss could, just kind of take 7, 8, 9 snaps and get you 60, 70 yards and probably be fine. So again, Wicks is the higher upside because he's probably got more touchdown potential. Moss is the safe play because I think volume.
I like that answer. I would say the same thing.
All right. So we have a question here. So this guy wrote in, need 2 of these off the waiver wire for flex. So Bateman, Palmer, Shepard, Taysom Hill, Ray McLeod, Persol, Troy Franklin, Wicks, Justice Hill. Bateman's 1. He's been, I would say the obvious 1. He's been starting to get heavily involved in offense. Zay Flowers did get injured last game, did not look great after he came off the field. Did play, but did not look great. And the second one, what are y'all thinking? I'm leaning.
I lean like Wicks or Pearsall.
I don't know if I can trust Pearsall yet. If Jennings is healthy, I'm not sure Pearsall gets enough. Now,
He didn't practice
Jennings did not.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So keep an eye on that. If Jennings is out, I mean, Pearsall, sure. The safer play might be, if that was McMillan instead of Palmer, I would definitely go there. God, Wicks, this is bad.
It's kind of gross.
This is
I told
gross.
you it's rough out in those streets. That's why
I guess it's
rough
Wicks. Wicks is probably the guy regardless anyway. I can't trust Pearsall.
Well, the Cowboys suck though, so it's not the worst matchup if Debo
I feel like I've heard
Jennings
that before. Do I hear an echo? Yeah.
Jinx.
All right. So that's what we got for the start sit portion of the show. Hope you guys got some help there for your lineups for week 8. Next, we're going to jump into the segment of the show where we just kind of go through some observations. We call it the week 7 observations. It really could be season-long trends, observations that you've been kind of seeing, just, telling the story of what you're seeing this season, something that you can tell, that we can tell you to help you in the future this week or for the long haul of the season. And Kevin, we'll let you go first, man. What's something you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I always look at things from just the fantasy experience perspective. I think about, from my bread and butter is the commissioner stuff and really thinking about the foundation of this game that we love, right? And so this is a crazy season. I mean, every season seems to be wild, and there's always obviously some recency bias, but this is a wild season. I can see a lot of people getting burnt out and frustrated with fantasy. So one tip that I have is just, make sure you find a league that you really love, because if you enjoy the league experience and have a great time with your league members, you can kind of get past, some of the craziness that happens, and you won't drive yourself too crazy. So you got to find a good league that you can, set yourself up for enjoying more than just, the wins and losses, because unfortunately, 90+% of the people that play in your league are going to lose, right? So there's one champion at the end of the year. You got to enjoy the ride. You got to enjoy the experience. So make sure you're in a good league. That's how you're going to get the most out of the fantasy experience. The other thing I would say, just, on the football field, we're getting back to like running backs. Once upon a time, fantasy was dominated by running backs. We obviously went through this whole, let's get this PPR thing going to kind of boost the wide receivers, and then wide receivers take over. This is a weird year, right? Great quarterbacks are throwing for 200 yards or less. Next season, those first 2 rounds, there's a lot of running backs taken, which, as an old school player of fantasy football, I'm not going to complain about that. I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Definitely on board with that. I love seeing the running backs go, and I've always felt like running backs still the most important position. Again, playing this game for 20 plus years at this point. It still is, but yet for every year, I feel like I've always found myself not getting enough running backs. So the past few years, I've really gone, more of the robust style, and made sure I locked in, a hero back and a second hero back. Even I know that's just the one, but you just really need that depth there. And this year, especially with all these crazy injuries we've seen, last week, really just this trend of receivers getting injured, like, that the PPR, and that's the thing, running backs making a comeback here. This is even more of a reason why, because your receivers, like the scores the receivers put up last week was just abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And and then you still got some decent scores out of some of these guys that ultimately ended up going out with injury. So you kind of lucked out with that. But I'm worried about receiver position, and especially leagues where you start 3 receivers, which is kind of the standard. It seems like, I really feel like from like what you were saying, Kevin, from the commissioner side of things, I really like the idea of 1 quarterback, 1 receiver, 1 running back, 1 tight end, I guess, and just a bunch of flexes.
Yeah.
It's really going to allow the actual flexibility of your rosters, and there's going to be so many different styles of drafts that way.
Exactly.
Some people are going to go heavy running back. Okay, fine. You can go heavy receiver and just build your depth that way and still be able to set a quality lineup.
Yeah, I think that chaos at the draft is so important in fantasy leagues, right? You want people having different strategies because the format's different. You want to keep people on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps engagement in fantasy leagues, right? You can play year after year, same group, same format, and kind of get a little monotonous, right? So something like that. That's a good way to shift your settings to make things a little more interesting, because people can take totally different approaches, which I think is great for fantasy and fantasy leagues for sure.
This is why Scott Fish is so fun. Everybody's like, you look at the 80 people, you look at drafts, and you're like, wait a minute, I got player X at the 2.5. You telling me he went 412 in your league? Like, get out of here.
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
And on a mini scale in a fantasy league, I think it's fun. You got a bunch of players that are, might not be all industry types or heavily involved, or most leagues are not like that, right? So I think something like that can kind of shake it up in a fantasy league.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and just one more point to like this like the receiver sort of like dip, I guess, if you want to call it, this year. I think it has something to do, like, quarterback play is a little down this year. I mean, there's a reason why we're seeing, Geno Smith way back up top, right? We're seeing Darnold being fantasy relevant this year. Like, yeah, great team, but like, still seeing Darnold. Like, come on. A lot of it also is we're seeing more and more running quarterbacks to where you're getting a lot of that RPO. Yeah. And, they could pass, but like pass attempts for a lot of these guys is not up there. Like it, we've seen, Pat Mahomes days, when he was chucking the ball 45 times a game, like that's not happening anymore. So I feel you. AJ, what's your thing?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just touched on a good point there too with the quarterbacks, being down this year, and with them being down again, it points more to running back, need and depth, but it's that's going to affect your receivers and your tight ends, obviously. The RPO thing, I feel like it's kind of run its course in the NFL now, and more teams, are still going after these running quarterbacks, but like teams, defensively are planning against this better, and I think we're going to start to see a shift back to, the drafts of, pure quarterbacks, throwing quarterbacks, guys with huge arms and that could sit in a pocket, take a beating, and still throw for 300 yards. And that's the football. Like, that's what I love about this game. Like, I miss seeing quarterbacks that can throw. Honestly, Joe, you'll appreciate this potentially because it's for Tech. When I got there, it was the year we went to the national championship, and it was the first big college game experience I've ever been to. I loved it, and it was amazing watching Michael Vick do what he did. But into the second quarter or third quarter of every game, I'm like, when's this guy going to throw the damn ball? Like, he's got a cannon of an arm.
Yeah.
It's awesome that he can run around and make all these crazy plays, and we're still undefeated, but throw the damn ball, please. And that's how I'm just wired, I guess. So I think with the idea of quarterbacks needing to kind of get back to their roots, again, I think it could lead to a shift in roster construction and Superflex kind of being less popular, because there's just not going to be, I don't know if that might be. So, but I think that's just something to keep an eye on. With as the league changes and the players change, the league continues.
Game always
to
evolves
change.
and adapts.
Yep.
Absolutely. So the one thing I want to do is I want to kind of go back to the Cleveland Browns running back room and just kind of touch on Nick Chubb's first start since that injury. Great story. Great to see him back in the field. Oh, dude. I mean, it wasn't good though.
No.
He looked okay, but he's not Nick Chubb. 11 times for 22 yards. I mean, I think we'll see better days from him, but he's going to have to find the end zone. And with that offense, it's going to be tough sledding. I just don't see that offense moving the ball very much.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting Winston in there, so, maybe, right? I've seen crazier things happen with Jameis Winston. Mr. 30 for 30, right? I just don't know, man. They don't have a lot of weapons there. I ultimately think what they're going to do, and they just may run out of time, unfortunately, is the Browns may just try to get Chubb as many touches as possible and then try to trade him, get his value as high as possible. I don't see why they would want to hold on to him. They're definitely not going to compete this year.
No.
And so,
they might even trade Njoku too, right?
Yeah. It's just an interesting. It's an interesting team. I don't really want to lean on any of them. I liked Ford early on because he was getting all the carries, but I knew that was going to be short lived. If Chubb returned, it was going to be very, very short lived. Chubb's gonna be the guy. Will he get? I know I'm just making up a number. Is he going to get 90% of the carries like he used to do? I'm making that up, but no. I think Ford's going to get, 35, maybe 40%. We're going to see that split backfield like we've never seen before with Nick Chubb. just because he's not going to be able to handle that workload. But it's just, I hear Commanders might be a spot for Ward.
Yeah,
that could be interesting. I don't know, man. I have heard a lot of trade rumors for the Commanders, and I kind of don't want them to like get ahead of themselves. I think they need to realize they're still in a rebuild mode. One or even two guys is not going to fix that defense. They've got to build through the draft. It's going to take another couple of years to really get a solidified defense. Sign some free agents. Don't trade picks at this point. You're going to need them. I think it'd be a bad move. And hopefully the front office is smarter than that. I don't know. Maybe I'm on an island there with that. I've heard a lot of rumors with like the Commanders going after like a corner or a safety. And it's just, one guy is not going to fix that secondary. It's bad. Believe me, it is really bad. So anyway, that's what I got. Kevin, what is your second takeaway from?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hit a couple with the just with the league perspective and the running back thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's I would say another thing from a commissioner standpoint, from the league perspective. Again, that's what I love so much.
Sure.
Expand those rosters. Have more IR spots. I think it makes managers, casual managers, a little more comfortable when those rosters are a little bit bigger. And given just the injury world that we're living in right now, it just seems like there's just more than ever, right? And I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe more sensitivity towards diagnosis. It's hard to say. Obviously, I think once upon a time, a lot of players just kind of played through stuff. A lot more, players out with concussions that probably back in the day just played through.
Yeah.
So expanded rosters definitely help. So if you're setting up a league, it doesn't hurt to have some extra players or at least some extra IR spots to give your managers a little more comfort to, not feel so pressed each week. I don't like short benches.
No,
I can understand in real competitive league, there's some fun to that because you kind of have to drop some good players and there's might be always somebody out there. But in the average league, it's nice to have a little more comfort. So,
well, and a lot of those leagues do kickers and defenses.
Yeah.
Your casual leagues if they're gonna do that, expand the rosters so they don't have to like add drop kickers because that sucks.
There you go.
I've seen a lot of teams. I've seen a lot of teams in leagues with defensive kickers. Teams dropping like the number one defense, or dropping a very good flex player to hold on to that number one defense, and you're like, this is just bad. So I feel you. Funny enough, you mentioned like the deep benches. I have a friend who was messaging me before the season. He's like, hey, help me out with the draft, blah, blah, blah. And he told me the league setup. He's like, oh, yeah, and we only have 3 bench spots. I'm like,
I hate that.
I'm like, what? He's like, oh, first off, we could only have X number of running backs, X number of receivers.
Oh, yeah.
And we only can have 3 bench spots. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
I hate the limits.
So he's having to drop like really good players every single week, especially on bye weeks, to fill roster spots. I've never seen a 3-person bench ever. That was crazy to me.
That's horrible.
The least I've ever seen is
I would never. I would just leave. I would leave the league. Like if I'm not a fan of orphaning teams or unless you absolutely have to, but. That's one where it's like, yeah, okay. I
told him, I'm like, you can't play in this league next year. Like, no way.
Yeah. So my next point here is, and we touched on this name earlier in the tight end question, is Mark Andrews back? After first 4 weeks where he saw, a combined 9 targets. He's got 13 over the last 3 games. He's catching the ball now, getting more involved after, we kept getting told, we'll get him involved when we need to, or, he's just going to have games like this. And it's just, coach speak or whatever. But he was borderline, droppable or absolute trade bait for the people that may have still believed in him. And, hopefully you got something out of it if you traded it. But at this point, with the landscape of the tight end position being what it is, he's putting up 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Yardage over 100 yards total. I mean, he's back involved, and it's still not a high volume, but the end zone, appearances is really what's helping this value here, and I think that's just kind of what you have to use. That's what you have to go on with the tight end this year. It's been a dead zone. So
yeah, that's more than enough production out of the tight end position, at this point, given the environment we're in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still hard to trust him when he's not running as many routes, even as Isaiah likely.
True.
It's just the routes he's running, they're targeting him on like about a quarter of them, which is really good ratio for a tight end. And then those end zone targets, you love to see those. Although I will say Isaiah likely seeing plenty of end zone targets too. So when they get into the red zone, if it's not Derrick Henry, it is one of the tight ends usually. And my gosh, Stafford is throwing touchdowns to everybody.
Everybody but freaking Atwell, who
2 to Robinson.
2 to DeMarcus Robinson. Like, oh my goodness. This is crazy. What
just
happened
shredding that.
I literally
Vikings
sat the Vikings defense at the last second today because I was like, wait, Pup and Puka are back? Nah, I don't want to mess with this.
Yeah.
Vikings are good, but the Rams offense can go with those two in there. This is a different offense. So, yeah, I don't know. I like Andrews. It is hard to trust, though. But, I mean, again, all these tight ends are hard to trust. So,
yeah,
whatever. So my last one here, and I'm going to go back to some usage just because I thought it was interesting. The first week back for Devin Singletary and this Giants offense, they got obliterated. AJ, I'm sure you will love the fact that I'm bringing this up. They got obliterated and just embarrassed by the Eagles. It's a little hard to take away a lot from this game because it was just so lopsided. However, the one thing I will say is that the fact that Tyrone Tracy was on the field for 37 snaps compared to Devin Singletary's 12 just screams to me that he is their pass catching back by far, which makes total sense. He was a receiver in college until he converted to running back. So that makes total sense. He still got more carries than Devin Singletary too. Could be the first week back kind of thing. So I still want to keep an eye on this one. But right now, heavy lean in Tyrone Tracy's favor for this backfield, which thankfully, like AJ, you were at the draft. I took Singletary and Scott Fish like late, kind of middle round as like just a volume play back because, points per carry. Thankfully, I was able to snag Tracy off waivers like pretty early in the season. And so I've got both, which kind of sucks. I don't really want either one, to be honest with you, but I'm starting Tracy over Singletary right now. But this is one that I'm going to keep an eye on. And I guarantee if you go back to the usage article next week, it will probably be one of the highlighted teams again, because I'm very curious to see if they are in a more competitive game to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I think that Giants, if they're realistic, I don't know how they're operating, their roster, but I think part of what they might do is just a little bit of roster evaluation, right? They want to see what they got in Tracy. Yep. The cap of, the ceiling of Singletary, right? He's not the long-term answer in that backfield. Might as well see what you got and give Tracy an opportunity, right? And gosh, if he's a weapon, they don't need to go after necessarily a higher profile running back next year in the draft. Although there's a lot of players out there in college that are coming out.
They're going to have a 5th round price tag on Tyrone Tracy. That's cheap if this guy's for real. That you love to see that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Find out what you got, and if he's capable, just as capable or more upside than Singletary. I mean, see what you got.
Yeah. I mean, the yards per carry last game weren't good, but I mean, it wasn't really good for anybody. But you love to see the production that he had when Singletary was out. He was looking really good. So
Yeah.
I like what I've seen from Tracy so far, and it looks like, looking at the usage, that the Giants like what they see too. So that's all I've got, I think. Anybody else got anything else they want to add in here?
That's great.
No.
I would just say pleasure to be on here with you guys. I had a good time.
No. Well,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Glad to
close the
have you
shop
on.
here. It's 28-20 with 6 minutes to go in the Thursday night football game. The Rams are up. Vikings have the ball, driving down to try to tie it here with the 2-point conversion that they'll need at the end here if they can get a touchdown. But very competitive, very good game here. So I'm glad to see it. But yeah, Kevin, thank you for coming on, man. This was a blast. Hopefully we can do it again. But
Sounds
before
good.
you go, let everybody know where they can find you and what you got in store for us the rest of the season.
Yeah, obviously we got Fantasy Football Unlimited. It's a website. It's got links to every resource in fantasy that I can come up with. The biggest thing is really about just I really love this industry. I love this community. I should love to share resources with consumers. Lots of good fantasy commissioner content, league content on there, so that's fun. And then the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast, primarily doing a lot of interviews in the industry, again sharing resources. And if you want to get to know some of your favorite analysts out there, it's a great way to kind of hear their backstory, hear their journey. So definitely check out the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. You can find me on Twitter or X at Dr. KJ Murray. You can check out Fantasy Football Unlimited at FF Unlimited, and then obviously we're on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. So come check it out.
It's a great show. I highly recommend it. Thanks again for coming on, man. And we'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. See you, Kevin.
See you guys.
All right. Oh, Darnold, what are you doing? Oh no. Oh, just like a huge sack. That was not good. All right. So that's it for the show. Good luck to everybody in week 8. Hopefully we helped you out. Of course, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Jump in our Discord, become an all access member. Just come talk to us. We love to help. So AJ, if you got no final words, I think we can close up shop.
I'm good.
Sucky.
That was sucky.